What we're looking at the moment is our web-based client. So no plugins, zero footprint, and works on all the major browsers and mobile devices as well. We officially support down to an iPad tablet size, mainly due to the it will render on a phone, but because this is designed for budget and forecasting, updating individual cells on a phone can get a bit finicky. So this is the landing page. So this web client is called WorkSpace. This is the landing page at the top. New users get a nice welcome message. They can play a video and see the capabilities within the platform. It does take up a lot of real estate on the landing page. So once they've seen it, they can remove it to maximize the real estate on the landing page. And then below there, we've got applications that are assigned to different user groups within your organization. So as I mentioned before, the idea is to have as many applications that span different lines of business as possible. But we don't want, when a user logs in and see 50 or 60 different applications, we just want to see we just want to target the applications for that particular user group. So for example, if the marketing team logs in, they'll see campaign planning. The operations team might see guided planning, corporate might see corporate planning, or a number of different applications. So this screen is designed to target the applications that are relevant for different user groups. So they don't have to go around looking for different applications that they need to do to perform their job. Yeah, that's where Octane will come in and build. So everything we're showing you today is, we say it's highly customizable, but it will be built from the ground up to meet 100% your requirements. What we have done though is sustainability reporting and sustainability scope 3. These are assets that customers can use for free as accelerators. And so the idea is that you could use this as an accelerator and then tailor it to your specific needs. So this application here is designed for corporate to come in and set high-level targets for the organization, and then allocate them out for the rest of the business. So you come in at a corporate level, allocate the occupancy rates that you're targeting for the whole group, and then allocate it down to the individual hotels and so forth. So across the top here, the users can filter. We can have some different filters in here. So I can look at Australia, or at a state level, or at a country level, or go right down to a hotel level if you wish. And then across over here on the right, we've got different KPIs. We've got revenue, gross margin, costs, some traffic lighting indicating good, average, and bad. We've got some out-of-the-box visualization. So this one here, we've got a pie chart representing our operating expenses, and we can immediately see that occupancy or rent is our biggest cost at 33%. To the right of that, we've got what we call a bullet chart. So these are great for comparing multiple versions against each other. So here, the horizontal blue bar here is my budget. The vertical line here is my target. And then the gray bar behind that is my prior year actual. So I can compare multiple versions. Below there, I've got what we call a combo chart. So here I've got my costs by region on my bars down here and below. And then across the top here on my lines, I've got my revenue, looking at 3 different versions of my revenue across the top. These charts are highly customizable. We can change the colors. We can, I don't want to see a value. I want to see the percentage. And we can change these so you can get the most out of these visualizations. To the left there, we've got effectively a P&L statement. Obviously, users can drill down and drill up, so I can drill down in payroll and see what makes up my payroll costs. I've got my salaries, bonuses, benefits, and so forth, and taxes. And then across the top, I've got my prior year actuals. I've got my target. I've got my budget, and my variance percent. And so what corporate can do is come in here at high level and go, actually, I want to increase our revenue for the total organization. I want to just increase it by 10%. I can type in INC 10%. And that will increase the 330 million to 365 million. On the next tab, this is where it will allocate it out. In this case, it's going to allocate out to regions. As I mentioned before, some of the major banks are allocating it down to customer and product to work out how profitable their products and customers are. You could allocate your advertising costs down to each hotel to make, and see how profitable each of the hotels are and so forth. So over here, what we're doing is, so we're allocating it out to the different regions based on a driver. In this case, we've selected revenue. So what this allows a lot of our customers to do is allow corporate to set the high level target at a full year level and at a total product or service level. And then we're using the bottom up budgets from each of the regions to determine how each of the regions is going to make up that target. So they can pick how they're going to meet that target over the year and which products and services they're going to promote to meet that target. So they get that level of control. So that's where the 366 million is coming through, and it's allocating to the various different regions here. To the right of that, we've got some more out-of-the-box visualization. So here I've got a heat map showing me where my revenue is coming from. So we can see Perth is bringing the most revenue, then Brisbane, Sydney, Cairns, and so forth. And then next to that, we've got it as a horizontal bar chart, this time as a percentage. So we can see that Perth's going to get 12% of the revenue, Brisbane's 11%, and so forth. So the first screen we land on is all about scorecards and metrics and how is the organization currently trending before we start updating our budget numbers. So here I've got a summarized P&L view. I've got my actuals, budget, variance, my variance percent, my status, how do my actuals and budgets compare, and is it trending up, trending down? Do I need to make corrective action, or we're tracking in the right direction? Below there, we've got some more out-of-the-box visualization. So down here is what we call our network diagram. So in the middle, I've got my different products, and then on the outside, I've got my different channels. So, selling phones through branches or through brokers or online. We can see that phones are, we're doing best through branches. This could be, different hotels. It could be different countries. You could be looking at expenses and revenue, but it gives you a sense of where either your expenses and revenue are coming from within your organization. Next to that, we've got what we call our bubble chart here. So I'm analyzing my products on number of units, so volume, and then the revenue we're getting from them. So I can see that 3G smartphones are high volume selling particular products, but they're not we're not making as much money as out of our we're making more money out of our 4G phones. So very interactive. You can go and have a look at each of these different products and click on them and see revenue, cost, margin, and so forth. Next to that, we've got what we have is let me just make this a bit smaller. Mapbox integration. So on this one here, let me expand it out. This one here, I've got one of our retail customers. I've got all their stores down to a street level, so they can go and look at their different retail stores. So what you'll be able to do is load in all your hotels and their locations, and then you can put occupancy rates, margins, revenue, costs, whatever it may be, and they can go and click on those different hotels and see how each one's performing. The whole intent here is trying to create an engaging user experience. We want the users to live within the platform. It shouldn't just be a we're going to do it once a year sort of thing. They should be coming in here and making adjustments, see how things tracking within this platform. So on the next tab here, this is where we can start. We're going to update our revenue numbers. So there's a number of ways that we can allow users to filter these reports. So we've already seen the filter bar, so that the slider bar at the top previously. So here the user can slide across to different regions. There is a play button. It's a little gimmicky. It'll cycle through each of the regions, and we can see what the revenue numbers are for each of the regions. The reason we like to play it as well is to show the performance of the platform. So what we're demonstrating at the moment is our SaaS offering. Unfortunately for me, my SaaS offering is hosted for our demo environments in APEC 2. Where's it gone? APEC 2, which is in Singapore. So all of our SaaS customers in Australia and New Zealand are hosted out of Sydney, but you can see the performance from Singapore to Sydney is really, really good. So people out in the field, even if they're on a 4G phone, should expect very, very good performance. Or we can have the ability to filter from a drop-down box. So here I've got different products or product categories and go down to the individual SKU level. So you'd be able to go, hotels, and then down to different types of rooms and so forth if you wanted to as well. All right, so what we're going to do is update Sydney. So we're looking at the budget numbers, and we're going to update the number of units sold. And what the user has, ability to do is they can either just update straight the budget numbers, or they can create what we call a sandbox. So it's a personalized version on top of the budget numbers. So what we're going to do is increase October by 10%. So we've got 3 different channels, so branches, brokers, online, and then we're at a total product level. There's about 100 products under this hierarchy of total products. So when I come over here and type in October, increase by 10%, as soon as I hit enter, it's going to update around about 300 cells in Singapore, recalculate the result, and bring it back to me. And it'll do that in less than a second as well. And this is where we're trying to get to that 10% data entry. So the write backs have been optimized as well, so we can change a lot of numbers very, very quickly. The other thing we can do in here as well is I can put holds on. So for example, during the pandemic, a lot of our customers didn't go through branches, they did it through brokers and online channels. So I can come in here and go and hold brokers, and I can come at the highest level here. Let's make it 7K. It will push it down just to brokers and online, and then keep branches where it is. So it's not an all or nothing thing. We can choose where we want to apply these changes to as well. And as we're making these changes, we're getting real-time feedback at the bottom here, indicating those changes we're making. And we didn't just add the visualizations to make it look pretty. There's a lot of value in viewing your plans visually. So you can see there's an outlier in January, there's an outlier in October that may be due to seasonality, or it may be due to a typo or an error that the users made. But it's very easy for the users to come in and quickly look at the visualizations and then make adjustments at the top. We can have drop-down boxes so the users can see which, for example, I know you were asking about variable costs, and generally variable costs are forecasted based on a run rate or a driver. Number of what your occupancy rate will drive a lot of your variable costs. So how much variable staff would you need, and cleaning products, toilet, whatever wherever those variable costs are going to be, they would be driven based on certain run rates and so forth. And you can have a drop-down box, and I'll show you in a moment. But things like rolling 3-month averages, 6-month averages, last year actuals, and so forth. And you can have a drop-down box. So the user can immediately see what the drivers they can select, and they can just pick it, and they can see what's being used. I'm going to go and select that sandbox that we were playing around with, so you can see those changes. So although we're making changes at a high level, these changes are occurring all the way down at the individual product level, and that's where the scalability of the platform comes in, because you're going to have a lot of hotels, lots of rooms, lots of employees, and being able the ability to go down to that granular level and do your forecasting is going to be critical. So to create a sandbox, they just come up to the top here, click on the spade, and they can just go in here and go create sandbox. Let me just call this, Care First version 2. And then go and create. So now I'm in my own personal sandbox, and so the changes I'm making at the moment will only be visible to myself until I commit them back to the budget. So it's a personalized version on top of the budget numbers, which is their own personal scenario. So they can make some changes, assumptions, see the impacts of those changes, and when they're happy with all that, they can then submit it to the budget. Other shortcut keys that we've added are things like, if I go for online, we want to sell 250 units every month for online from March for the remainder of the year. I could just do 250 to the right, and that will just go and spread out that 250 for the remainder of the year. So that's 10 months down to about 100 products, so about 1,000 cells we just updated there in less than a second. The other thing we noticed is that users would use a calculator or a spreadsheet to work out the value to put back into Plan Analytics. So what we allow users to do now is use formulas to update these cells. So for example, in February for online, I want to sell 20 units for every day in February. So 20 times 28, it will write that result back to that cell. So you could do plus, minus, divide, and so forth. And so it helps users update their plans a lot easier. Or the user can get a bit more sophisticated and go, hey, I want to start at 110 and I want to grow by 10% per month. So it will start at 110 and then grow by 10% per month. Yeah, if they don't know the shortcut keys, they can get to those shortcuts through the menu. So if I go into spread data, so this one, so the first one here is doing a proportional spread. So it's giving me the shortcut of P161 will do a proportional spread. If I do an equal, I can do, that's the shortcut, spread. They don't have to remember these shortcut keys. They can get through from the menu. So if I wanted to go, straight down, it's the kind of the key above the shift key. So if I do, I don't know, let's do 500, and then this symbol, I think they call it pipe symbol, but that will go down 500, for all the branches. There's a very comprehensive help as well. So this help is kind of enabled, what's enabled. So based on where you are within the application, it will start giving you suggestions. So you can see that we're in an application, and we call it application books. So it's got some help around books, data entry, and then you can go in there and start looking at, so it's got some very comprehensive help in here. The other thing the user can do as well is if they like a particular visualization or report, they can come in here and pin it so they can use it later on. So they just come up to the top. I like this waterfall chart. I want to use it later in my own reports. I can go and pin that, and that will go into my pin section, which sits here on the left. And I can then drag that back into my new reports and so forth. If I go into tab 1, I can go into my pin section. You'll see that waterfall chart's been pinned. I like the top 10 selling products chart as well. Earlier, I showed us putting a comment in a cell for around the promotion. Now we can put a comment on a value within the cell. So very similar to Excel cell annotations where you get a little red triangle. So I can go and put a comment, go add, post that. So it will track the comment, the value I commented on, the person who made that comment, and then the time and date of that comment, because we can have a running commentary as the cell gets updated. So I can come in here and add another comment and go by. And when I close that down, you'll see we'll have because we're IBM, we got a blue triangle instead of the Microsoft red triangle. Highlight a cell in Excel and press F2, it tells you what the calculation is for that cell. We can do the same thing in here. So at the moment I've got total model, so total products. I've got selected January in Sweden. If I right click on that 29 million, it will tell me what makes up that value. So we can see that we're budgeting on selling these particular products. So the L series 1.6 L sedan, 4.1 million. It's based on a business rule. It says sales equals price times units. I can then click on drill down on that, and I can see what the unit price is. So 15K or 15,484 per unit, and we're budgeting on selling 270 units. So you'll see that across the top, we've got a line here that's got actuals for January, February, March, April, and then July onwards is all forecast. And then I've got this little drop down box here. It's telling me what the last forecast month is. So as we close July, we bring in the actuals, I can then roll this over here. And this is an admin task. So an administrator would control this. And I can go now pick the last forecast month is actually going to be August. With August, here we go. And then that will roll it over. So now it's bringing actuals in, and then now we're forecasting from August onwards. And so it's bringing those actuals in. So we're actualizing those months, and then we're rolling that forecast out. This will be, you can automate it, or it could be an admin task. So sometimes, when the closing of the month may slip a little bit, and there may be some adjustments and stuff. And then some of our customers like to manually roll this over, or you can use, you can schedule this to roll over, and then the screens will automatically then reflect that rollover and bring those actuals in. This is the screen I was talking about as well, where you could have in this case, the forecast method as a drop-down box. So in here, I could have a number of different forecasting methods, and these can be customized based on your requirements. So it could be based off a run rate for your variable cost. I've got remaining budget, average prior 3 months, last year actuals, 3 months forecast plus budget. So if I pick a different one of these, it will just change my forecast months. It keeps the actuals where they are. Obviously, that can't change, but then it will go and reforecast these numbers based on this drop down, and they can immediately see that this line is driven based off average prior 3 months. Ideally, you have a set number of actual months that you want to show the user, and there'll be a set number of forecast months. It might be 6 months actuals and then 12 months rolling forecast, and that will just each month keep rolling, and then the user can just have a look at that, and that will every month just keep constantly updating. There's another ways clients can do budgeting forecasting. You can do something like what they call zero-based budgeting. So you just issue your budgets and they're just zero, and the users just go in and update their budgets. You can use last year's actuals, increase by 10%, or based on some run rates or whatever it may be. What we allow users to do now is what they can do is use the historical trends to forecast what's going to happen in the future. So here I've got effectively a simple view. I've got my time across the top. I've got my actuals up to about 2013, got a bit of history in here going back to, I think it's 1992, and it's going all the way. So I've got my actuals up to 2013. So what the user can do is, if I want to forecast from 2014 onwards, they can highlight an individual member. This could be a hotel, it could be a business unit, it could be a cost center, whatever it may be. So they could either highlight an individual member, or in this case, all of them. Come to the top here and click on the forecast wizard, and this will take them through the predictive forecasting wizard. So in here, I can specify when I want to start forecasting from. So 2014. It's going to go out to 2019, which is the end of my time dimension. This little checkbox is going to put, when I did the comments hello and bye previously, what this is going to do is put in a comment of the how accurate, or what predictive algorithm was used and how accurate it was. So the user knows that this number was generated using a predictive algorithm. It wasn't based on some sort of run rate or whatever it may be. And let me just get this out of the way. And then on the advanced tab, we can do things like order text seasonality, adjust for outliers. So it kind of smooths our data out and gives us more accurate forecasts. I can select to ignore certain historical time periods. So a lot of our clients, especially the supermarkets and so forth, are ignoring the last 2 to 3 years of COVID because it's given them some really distorted results. And then I tell it where I want to put these predicted results, which version. So it's going to go into a version called forecast. It could be called predictive forecast, and then save the upper and lower bands. So this is how confident are we in the results of this algorithm. So if I run preview, what it's doing behind the scenes is running 9 exponential smoothing algorithms across my historical data, finds the best fit for each member. So it may use a different algorithm for each of the different members, and then finds the best fit and then forecasts that out. So in this visualization here, the solid line, or the blue line here, is my actuals. This dashed line is the predicted forecast. And then the shaded area is how confident is the algorithm in its prediction. And if you click on statistical details, it gives you a bit more information. So the accuracy was 91%. There was a very little trend strength, so 0.04%, but seasonality strength was quite strong at 100%. So it gives users a bit more information about how accurate this was. We're not trying to make business users into data scientists. We're trying to bring data science to the business users in an easy consumable format. To tell you the truth, a lot of our users just come up to the top here and look at the predictive accuracy. Is it high, medium, or low? When we go and run that through, or go and push this into our cube, we've actually updated our, sorry, not that one there. We've updated our visualizations as well to show these predicted numbers. So if I look at member 5, you can see, so the solid line is my actuals. The dashed line here is my my predicted results. There is actually a shaded area there, but the algorithm is really is fairly confident in its results. So the shaded area is quite narrow to reflect that. But if you look at something like member 4, the historical data is a bit all over the place. It's what we would define as messy. So you'll see that the confidence bands are quite wide because we've got,
I get that.
yeah, it hasn't got much to go on. So, predictive forecasting is not a, magic fairy dust. It's not always going to give you, the right results. It's going to depend a lot on what you've got from your actual data and so forth and the quality of that. So what we want to do in this screen is to make sure users understand, should they trust these results or should they use their own, business insights and use those numbers instead. And so they can see, where the algorithm's giving them some good, good results and where it's not. So how easy is it for the users to build these reports themselves? Users can come up here and go new, and then they can go and create a new book, and they can drag the widgets in. Or they can, if you give them the necessary security rights, they can actually extend these applications and create their own versions of it. They can't overwrite these applications, but they can save it to their what we call their personal folder. So it gives them a nice starting point. They have to build everything from scratch, and they can go and tweak these reports to their particular needs. So there's a number of different ways they can do this. So in the interest of time today, we're going to go and modify an existing application, add a new tab, add some widgets, and you can see what's involved from a self-service point of view. So what we're going to do is modify this application here called campaign planning. I'll quickly take you through what the application is doing, and then we'll add a tab and start bringing in some widgets, do some slicing and dicing and so forth. So this application is designed for sales and marketing managers to run marketing campaigns and then play around with the expected uplift in demand, and then track that over time to see how well how well those campaigns are actually performing. So over here, we can run a number of different promotions. We can add more promotions as well. We can put some commentary around what the promotion is. It's going to be a high budget TV ad or whatever it may be. So we're not just tracking numeric values within the platform. We can put in some commentary and narrative about what it is we're trying to achieve within this marketing campaign. And then below there, I can pick all my products or product categories or individual products. So you could, pick an individual hotel or a region or, all hotels, depending on what the campaign is doing. And then we can pick a start and end date of when that campaign we're going to run this campaign, and that's when we expect to see an uplift in sales. So let's say it's going to be a, high budget nationwide TV ad. I expect a 90% uplift in occupancy, so I can type in 90%. And then over time on the right here, I can start tracking how effective these campaigns are. So the blue bars here are my my actual sales, and then the light gray bar here is my uplift that I expected to get. So you can see based on the campaigns that we were running. So you can see in April we were pretty accurate in our forecasting there. But you can see in January we did really well, almost about 3 times more than we expected, based on the campaigns we ran. Although this does look good for most of our clients, having we expected to do this and we actually did that, sometimes is not a good thing, because we haven't accurately anticipated the demand. So that's going to mess around with our workforce planning. We're not going to have the right staff there, so customer success or customer satisfaction might drop. We may need to get contractors in, which are going to cost a lot more than full-time employees. So making sure that we're tracking how well these campaigns are going and making sure that we're accurate in our forecasting is going to have a lot of benefits across the organization. Some different examples of some visualization. So here we've got a heat map. So the bigger the shape, the more of that particular product we sold. Here I got a column chart with this time showing my 3 different brands as a percentage of sales. And on the reporting tab here, I've got my top 10 selling products per location. I can have my revenue as a waterfall chart, so I can see my increment or month-on-month incremental increases or decreases. Pack bubble charts, or we can have radio dial charts. These are just showing my 3 different brands and the percentage of sales. And then the user can play through the different regions and see which products are selling well in which regions. So you just click on this button. I can now go into what we call edit mode. So the user can make changes, but they can't overwrite this application. When they save it, they can only save it to their personal location. So they can't overwrite the original application. And then what we can do is add a new tab here. Sorry, let me do that again. And then users get presented with a number of different templates. So the first one here is freeform. They can put the widgets wherever they want on the page. We're going to use freeform today. What I want to look at is my sales view. So here I've got a sales view. I can click on that, or add it to the dashboard. Once it's on the dashboard, I can start slicing and dicing. I can bring my products over the top and bring my regions down to the side, so I can start seeing how my different regions are performing. Users can do things like on-the-fly calculations, so they can highlight multiple columns or rows and then come in here and write a calculation. They can work out the average of those columns, maximum, minimum, medium, aggregate, plus, minus, divide, times, or percentages. So lightweight calculations that users typically do in Excel, they can do in this interface, and then save this to this view, and every time they run it, we'll have that calculation. There is a sophisticated business rule engine sitting behind here as well, but the administrator will go and create your business rules, how you're going to calculate your headcount and so forth, cost allocations, depreciation, whatever it may be. But these are more lightweight analysis calculations the users can create their own in here. If you click on the column heading itself, you can sort ascending, descending, top and bottom. So I can get the top 10 performing countries or hotels or worst performing ones. Conditional formatting, I can change the background color, the border color, the font style, or put an icon set in there to indicate good, average, and bad.
Let's say 2 years ago, and that is just stuck. Like, you have to build that Excel report. It has to be done at month end. That needs to go up the line. You can still do that. So we've gone and taken a look at a couple of charts. I can make this all pretty. I can duplicate it and add in a bunch more. But more often than not, there's a ton of value in Excel, right? Because you've got a specific format that you want to report in. You need to go and produce that report. So you can still do that as well. And this is an example of that. So let's say, for example, you're typically reporting with all of your accounts, all of your cost centers, all of your projects, actual versus budget versus forecast. You can still do that. And you can still drill in through Excel as well. So I can actually double click in this. So this is actually a report that's been created in Excel, but I'm showing it inside of WorkSpace. So I'd still be able to drill into this report inside of Excel. You can also enter in commentary here as well. So one of the biggest things that I've been telling my clients, at least over the last year, is that in the coming years, the application of natural language processing over text is going to come into finance. I know a lot of teams aren't doing it yet, but if you can capture your commentary later on, that is going to be so much more useful because you're going to be able to do that advanced NLP on it. So say, for example, at month end, you need all of the divisional teams to comment on specific line items. Well, I could see actual is below or is above budget by, or below budget by 417,000. I might say this is because we didn't expense, I don't know, labor. So I can actually store that inside of my report. And then let's say, for example, I consolidated back up just to prove to you it is still there. If I drill back down, you can see that that comment is there. So it is now stored. You can bring it back. You can go back and see what somebody said or why a particular project didn't meet their milestone. You can actually go back in time and see at month end last month why that particular comment was. So you don't need to go through PDFs or Excel documents to work out what commentary there was. You've actually got this then stored. So let's say, for example, I'm going to go into the version that we can probably prototype with a little bit quicker. So let's say, for example, I wanted to actually go and open up a particular report. Let me get the plugin up. And I can have all of my reports stored in like a central area, right? So in that particular case, so this was the report that I showed you on the web. I can open that up in here. Actually, better version. Let me actually just change this column. All right, so if I change that to budget, hit calculate, that is now showing budget versions, right? So if I change that to forecast again.
Yeah.
Net's going a little slow at the moment. Right, and hit calculate, you can see that that's going in, updating back to forecast. This is where the majority of our users spend their time, right?
Yeah, because you can just build whatever reports you want.
Yeah, they can be multi-tab. You can have like a central assumptions page, and you might go, all right, so on the central assumptions page, we're going to set up that we want everything to point to a specific month, hit calculate, and then every sheet in the report might update to reflect those specific numbers. So you've got that flexibility. And I think that that's a big thing. That's not something that is going away from the product as well. That's a key point. That when you author these reports, so you saw that when I opened it up, I went up to here and I brought down this report and I started editing it on my desktop. Mm-hmm. Nobody but the given users that you want to be able to update these reports can re-upload them into the server. So they can go and change all the formulas that they want. But if you go, hey, open up that report again, that we're getting different numbers to you, that's like, that can't be changed. So they can't make hard-coded versions of the central report. So the easiest way to say is, look, this is what's in the central report. You can't actually go and change those hard-coded numbers. So you can obviously add locking and all of that to the reports that you save onto the server as well. So if you wanted to ensure that people can't update formulas, you've got the ability to do that. Because you've got them still stored on the server, nobody can just go and say, hey, I don't want this to have this formula in there anymore. I'm just going to delete that one out. You've got that ability to secure all of these reports down. Most of our business partners, when we build models, will just have a currency dimensions, and the base currency for whatever, what you'll actually have is an input currency. And so whatever you input into there is just whoever's doing the budget, they input into the local. And then when you want to do reporting, you just switch over to the reporting currency. It does the currency conversion. And then you'll normally have a like a currency table as well. Let's actually take a look at what a cube actually constitutes. So cube is just a series of dimensions, right? And its dimension is a series of elements. So if we go to this workbench, I actually want to show you a cube in the background. Sometimes I think people get a little bit worried that it's going to be just too much to write a rule, or it's a bridge too far. All right, so let's say this is my journal ledger cube that you can see here, right? To write a rule, all you need to do is ensure that when you're pulling data, you're pulling in the following order. So you need to specify what month you want, what version you want, what currency you want, what cost center you want, account, project, source, and measure. That being said, you can go really broad. You don't even need to go that granular. You might say, hey, just give me everything in actuals. And let's say, for example, for actual versus budget, you might go, just give me everything in actuals minus everything in budget. And that's going to be the actual versus budget version. If you were to write a broad rule, so these are ones that are obviously a little bit more hardcore, but let's say, for example, I wanted an actual versus budget, right? So to be something like that. And then I go, all right, so actual versus budget is going to equal an N level element, which is basically saying we're going down to the lowest level. And then it's really actual minus that is a rule. So that like you can go really, really simple, or you can go really, really sophisticated. It's purely up to you. These ones down here, the first part of the if you want to get granular information is you specify what cube you want information from, and then you just follow the order. So I'm saying, give me all months, give me all versions, give me all currencies, give me all cost centers, so on and so forth. But then I'm getting really specific and I'm doing like a mapping between accounts and dimensions or whatever accounts I'm doing there.